Unfortunately, I couldn't meet Kim Jong-il because he was on his regular tour of visiting armed forces. But I met some the other leaders of the country, and they were listening very carefully to the messages I was bringing to them. And I remember very clearly Kim Yong-nam, the second man in North Korea. He is supposed to be the president of North Korea. I mean, he's the former president of the North Korean and Speaker of the Parliament. And he told me that during Clinton administration, we had some chances to somehow discuss about these pressing issues. I said this to President Clinton in 2004 when I met him in Davos. And he was very much interested in 2005, I think, in Davos. He was very much interested in getting engaged in this negotiations, and I was quite glad to see how he was actually engaged recently to free journalists, the US journalists visiting himself to North Korea. I think still we have chances to speak with North Korea. Still we have to build up the trust. We have to be more patient maybe, more sort of listening and trying to persuade. And if we do it together, that's very important. The second point I wanted to make was there is the so-called six-party talks on North Korean issue. It's very important talks. We wish it should be successful, and all the decisions of the six-party talks should be implemented by all sides. That's our position. But on the other hand, we think that other countries like Mongolia, Australia, others should be also within this talks, because also we are a part of North Korea, and I mean North Korea, not Northeast Asia or Asia Pacific region, and we want six-party talks to become a permanent mechanism for development and for discussions and for negotiations in Northeast Asia. Well, thank you. That would be the answer.
So I promise you that I think many people are tired, so I will take only one more question, and that will be Bob Blackwell. Donc la dernière question, Bob Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You need a micro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. President, for a presentation which was both elegant and quite pointed, which is an unusual combination. You answered a previous question about Mongolian democracy in a systemic way, which was, I think, very analytical in its origins. But I want to ask you a more autobiographical question, which is, where did this come from in you yourself? Because, unless I'm mistaken, you grew up, as you said earlier, in the Soviet period, where you certainly didn't get any advice from Moscow along these lines. So as you developed yourself, where did these ideas come from?
Well, my background is I studied literature in Moscow. There is a very strange institute which is called Institute of Literature. Nobody understands what does this institute teach. It teaches world literature, starting from Greek, Roman, then Middle Ages, European Middle Ages, Chinese, Japanese, and then, of course, Russian classic literature, 20th century's world literature, French and American especially. So this is about literature. But studying literature in Russia is something, I think, very, for me, it's very interesting. It involves a lot of drinking. I personally don't drink because I have inherited from my mother that if I get a drink of vodka, I just feel sick. But I know my roommates that it involves a lot of drinking, a lot of discussion about the ultimate goal of life, about samizdat books, about I told earlier that this is the evening of disclosing classified information. So as a student in Moscow, I was reading all these so-called forbidden books with my Russian friends in my institute, by all the Solzhenitsyn book, all those Russian authors or European authors who were forbidden at that time to be read in Moscow. And as a student, I finished my institute with a firm understanding that Gulag was evil, that it was a big crime, with the understanding that the system should be changed. But in my country, when I got back home, it was difficult to realize all the things I have found in the Institute of Literature. So it took some years for me to try to find myself. And in early 90s, all these democratic changes started happening in the whole world, including Mongolia. And I found myself that maybe because of this background, very actively involved in all these political activities. So that was the life, I think, of many Mongolian young people of early 90s. I became a member of parliament in 1992, then Minister for Culture, then leader of opposition. So I know how we lose in democracy. Then I became the Prime Minister, then the Speaker of the Parliament, then for the last 4 years, the President of the country. So, and I think the main conclusion of the years in politics still may be ahead of me, but after this election, I think it's still, and I firmly believe that leaders should be dissatisfied with the work they have done, whereas hopefully people are more or less satisfied with your work.
We learned it with the Russians.
And but in many countries, or even in Mongolia, we still try to think that if we don't care about people being satisfied or dissatisfied, we think that it's more important for the leaders to be satisfied. I think, on contrary, leaders should be always dissatisfied with the work they have done, because always power gives more opportunity, and you use only part of it. And that's the main, I think, lesson we have to take from democracy.